Take a deep breath and steel yourself for the most ruthless dissection we've ever done. We've already navigated the maze of debt attention and the consumer matrix. But all of that is only a set of small gears inside a far larger, far more sophisticated machine, the machine of power. Society teaches you that power lives in ballots, constitutions, or politicians on television. But that's just decorative veneer covering a real chessboard that operates in the dark. The true herders don't rule with whips or iron chains. They rule with an ancient formula upgraded with high technology, bred circuses, and fear. You think you're living in an era of unprecedented freedom. You're wrong. You are living in a prison without bars where plutocrats shape your mind with endless entertainment and strangle your will with manufactured fears. Welcome to this dissection of the nature of power, where we will peel back how the global financial elite turns you into a willing puppet. Welcome to the real world, where there are truths society does not want you to know. The banquet of the herders and the illusion of freedom. Real power never shows its face. Real power is the ability to alter someone else's reality, while they remain convinced it was their own choice. Look at modern Western democracies. You are allowed to choose between candidate A and candidate B, party X and party Y. Yet no matter who wins, some things never change: central bank monetary policy, the influence of multinational corporations, and the power of Wall Street plutocrats. That is the illusion of freedom of choice. Plutocrats understand this. If you chain a slave in iron, he will always look for a way to escape or rebel. But if you make him believe he is free, he will never resist. To do that, they need a two-sided control system. One side is the sedative entertainment that hijacks attention. The other side is the electric fence fear that steers behavior. On this chessboard, you are not the player, you are the piece. And to keep you from realizing your position, they turned the whole world into a colossal stage. The digital circus, when the sedative becomes a lifestyle. The phrase bread and circuses, panem et circenses, comes from the Roman Empire. When the public grew dissatisfied with the decay of the ruling class, emperors handed out free bread and staged bloody spectacles in the Colosseum to distract them. Today, bread is cheap fast food and consumer credit, and the circus is Hollywood, Netflix, TikTok, and mega sporting events and tournaments. Why do Western tech and media conglomerates pour billions into producing cheap entertainment, hollow blockbusters, and meaningless reality shows? The objective is not only profit. The objective is systematic distraction. When your brain is constantly bombarded with dopamine from digital games or celebrity controversies, you no longer have the mental energy to notice how laws are changing or why your taxes are being used to bail out big banks. The plutocrats want you to care about who wins this week's reality show, rather than why inflation is stealing your future. Modern entertainment is a kind of Soma the happiness drug in Aldous Huxley's Brave New World. It makes you feel satisfied amid intellectual poverty. It turns complex political and economic problems into consumable drama instead of something to analyze. And when everything becomes entertainment, truth no longer matters. Only the thrill remains. The art of managing pain, the fear production machine. If entertainment is the carrot that lures you, fear is the stick that herds you. Global plutocrats are masters at using fear to obtain obedience without needing the police. There is a classic power formula you must memorize: problem, reaction, solution. First, the problem. The elite creates or exploits a crisis. It can be a financial crisis, a season of war in a distant country, or an invisible environmental threat. Second, the reaction. Media owned by plutocrats amplifies the fear to its maximum. Panicked citizens scream, "The government must do something, protect us." Third, the solution. The ruling class delivers the solution they prepared in advance, usually expanding control, tightening privacy, or transferring enormous wealth from the public into corporate hands. Look at the US Patriot Act after 2001. In the name of security, citizens voluntarily surrendered privacy in exchange for an illusion of safety. Or look at the 2008 financial crisis, when the fear of global collapse was used to force people to pay taxes to bail out those who created the disaster. Fear paralyzes the prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for logic, and activates the amygdala, the part that governs survival instinct. When you are afraid, you don't question. You look for a father figure or a system to cling to. And that is when power consolidates. The glass cage of surveillance and social credit. In the past, power ruled through the visible presence of armies and guns. Today, power rules through the presence of data, both in modern Western societies and in China. An invisible social credit system has been established. It does not come as an official announcement. It lives in financial credit scores, in algorithms that evaluate behavior on social media and in cancel culture. If you hold views that run against the mainstream flow of plutocrat-owned media, you can lose your bank account, lose your job, or be isolated from the economic system. This is a form of digital death sentence. You may not be thrown in prison, but you are stripped of the ability to survive in modern society. The truth today is that power has turned convenience into a surveillance tool. Every smartphone, every card transaction, every AI camera on the streets of London or New York is a node in a vast net. The goal is not to arrest everyone. The goal is to create a state of self-regulation. When you know you are always being watched, you automatically behave the way the system wants. You won't dare resist or think differently because the price is your own economic safety. This is the peak of the dissection of power, turning every individual into the warden of their own prison. The Devil's Triangle: finance, media, politics. To understand why this machine is so powerful, you must see the symbiosis of its three peaks. First, finance. This is the energy source. Plutocrats control money flows, interest rates, and debt. They can bring down a country's economy with a few keystrokes, then force governments to comply with their will. Second, media. This is the propaganda and psychological steering organ. By owning major media conglomerates, plutocrats decide what is truth, what is conspiracy, and who is the enemy of the public. They shape your worldview from childhood to adulthood. Third, politics. This is the enforcement shell. Politicians are often just managers hired by plutocrats to run a country. In the United States, billion-dollar election campaigns are effectively bidding wars. The winner is the one who best serves the interests of the sponsors. This triangle creates a closed-loop. Finance controls politics. Politics passes laws that benefit finance and media. Media convinces the public it is all for their own good. You stand outside the loop as the energy supplier through your taxes and labor, without any real voice. The trap of distraction and the art of divide and rule. One of the oldest and most effective power tactics is divide and rule. Plutocrats understand that if 99% of the population unites, the power of the 1% evaporates. So they must keep us busy fighting each other. They create identity wars, race, religion, gender, extreme political ideologies, and so on. They use media to amplify the smallest differences and turn them into irreconcilable conflicts. When you are busy arguing on Twitter or Facebook about a racial issue in the US, or a gender rights issue in Europe, you fail to see that both sides are being pickpocketed by the same financial system. Your outrage becomes fuel for the system. As long as we see each other as enemies, we will never look up to see the ones holding the puppet strings. This distraction is also achieved by creating a noisy information matrix. In the internet age, plutocrats no longer need to censor information. They only need to flood the space with misinformation, contradictions, and absurd conspiracy theories until you are exhausted and lose faith in truth itself. When you no longer believe anything, you return to the guidance of the most powerful entities. Psychological warfare and the capture of perception. Modern power does not target your body. It targets your perception. This is the new front in which Western military and financial elites are investing heavily. The aim is to control the Overton window, the range of ideas society accepts by repeating messages across films, music, and news. They gradually shift public views on critical issues. Things considered immoral or unacceptable 20 years ago can become new norms today. This shift is not random. It is designed to break traditional social structures, family, community, faith structures that once acted as barriers against total control by the state and corporations. When people lose spiritual and communal anchors, they become lonely and vulnerable, easier to reprogram with the values of consumption and obedience to authority. You think you are progressing. Perhaps you are only being moved to a different cell in the same prison. We have reached the end of the dissection. You have seen the strings, the sedatives, and the invisible walls of fear. The power of plutocrats rests on one foundation: your ignorance and your silent consent. They need you to keep believing the illusion, keep fearing and keep being distracted. You cannot bring down this global machine of power with violence. It is too large and too sophisticated. But you can do something far more dangerous to them. You can stop being a chess piece. The solution is not to fight the system head-on, but to become immune to its tools. 3 rules for the awakened, protecting personal sovereignty inside a power matrix. Rule 1. Turn off the circus. Turn on your thinking. Cut down cheap entertainment and distraction to the minimum. Instead of consuming whatever the algorithm pushes at you, actively seek knowledge history, economics, behavioral psychology. When you understand how the machine works, media tricks lose their hypnotic effect. Knowledge is the antidote to every sedative. Rule 2. Identify and neutralize the fear machine. Whenever media injects a new fear, stay calm and ask who benefits from this fear. What do they want me to give up in exchange for safety? Do not make decisions in panic. Build inner strength so external fear cannot touch your internal will. A person who does not fear cannot be ruled. Rule 3. Build self-reliance in personal power. Plutocrats rule you through dependency. Dependency on debt, dependency on corporate jobs, dependency on system services. Find ways to reduce that dependency. Invest in real assets, learn real survival skills, and build supportive community relationships. The more self-reliant you are, the more bargaining power you have with the system. Real power does not live in corporations' skyscrapers or vaults of gold. Real power lives in your clarity of mind. This herding system is only strong while you are asleep. Once you open your eyes and stare directly at the puppeteers, their game begins to end. Live as a sovereign being in a world full of puppets. Don't ask permission to be free. Simply live free. You've seen the design of the cage. Whether you step outside or stay inside is your final choice.